Welcome, everybody, to Lighting the World with Truth. There's a saying I heard once, and it was the name of a book called Strangers to Our Shores by Parillo. I wonder what that has to do today with this subject. Let's find out. I have two guests with me today, two young men, and they also, once upon a time, were my students at San Juan Diego Middle School. So I will have them introduce themselves like we usually do.
Hi, my name is Christian Pacheco.
Okay. And how old are you, Christian?
19.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Christian Alvarez, and I am 21.
And these are the two young guests I have. Welcome, both of you, to our program. Let's go with our first question. If you have figured out, my dear listeners, strangers to our shores, yes, we're talking about immigration. And so our first question is, when did you become aware of your immigrant status? Either one of you can answer first.
I became aware in middle school, hearing about my friends and their visits to, Mexico or wherever they went, right? And, hearing what my father would say or what my mother would say, they tell me to be good and, get good grades, stay out of trouble, because we might not be here tomorrow. So, take every day as it comes and be thankful and, for every moment in this country. And, connecting dots, I was like, some stuff doesn't make sense to me, some stuff does. And I eventually figured out that I wasn't here with the proper documentation, so I figured out I was undocumented. That's when I figured that out.
All right, and what about you, Christian?
I became aware of my situation when I was going into high school because I wanted to go back to Mexico and do my high school over there. And my parents always was telling me, don't do it, there's no way you're gonna be able to get back. It is harder to get across. And it just made me think the fact that, over there's a lot of bad things going on. And even my family members over in Mexico, they were telling me, don't do it. It is not worth it. You have a better education over there. And I was just thinking myself, you know what, they're right. I have a better education. I am able to do a lot of things over here that I cannot do.
Okay. Now, when we were talking before, and this new thing came out of the DREAM Act and so on, this new immigration thing, they talk about deferred action for early childhood arrival. Would you explain what that really means?
I can explain that. Deferred action for childhood arrivals, or as in the undocumented community, we say DACA. It's just, it's just shorter. That's for people that came here when they were young. They have requirements that you have to have. I know one of them, you have to have been here before you were 16. You had to have been here before June 15, 2007. Several things like that. I was actually qualified for this, executive order by President Barack Obama, and I've applied for it, and I'm still waiting on my answer. Hopefully, I get the approval so that I can, continue my studies and get a job where I can fulfill myself as a human being and, to all my skills and abilities.
And Christian, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. While you're in the process, it is, once you receive that, you're able to apply to go to work and able to get an ID or a driver's license. And basically what it is a work permit that you get. And you're able to work legally without having to worry about your situation. And
okay, well that's good. That was a good explanation. I think some of our audience doesn't quite understand all that. So, all right, we're talking American, all this. What does it mean to both of you to be an American? Do you believe you are an American, and why? I know there's quite a few questions. Let's do the first one. What does it mean to be an American for you?
Oh, that's a question I asked myself when I was facing this situation head on. I always kind of put it off to the side, but eventually I knew I was gonna have to face it, face being undocumented. So when people said, "Oh, you're not from here, you don't have the proper documents," I thought, well, I don't think you have to be a citizen to be an American. I think being American is a way of life. It's the way you do things. It's the way you wake up in the morning and you go to sleep at night. I really regard myself as an American because I've worked hard for everything I have. My family's been there for me. I've tried to stay out of trouble. I've done a lot of community service. And this was even before I knew I was undocumented. So, just that to me means being an American, not having a social security number. That doesn't define being American. It's the way you live. That's what it is.
Wow. Christian, what does it mean for you to be an American? And so
I think I want to say the same thing as he did. Is really, even from a Canadian, he's an American. Even from being in Mexico, he's Mexican. He's an American. The whole continent is America. It is not just the United States.
Good.
So I consider myself an American, and without me having or not having a social security doesn't define me as an American. I'm a Mexican American. That's what I am.
Wonderful. That's a very good answer. My goodness. Okay, so now we're getting down to a question that's very emotional, I think. And the question is, what is the most difficult experience you've had as an immigrant? The most difficult experience.
I think the most difficult experience as an immigrant is, realizing that you're facing new problems, you're like on a journey, right, to a place you've never been before, people you've never seen, a way of life that's different from the one you had. For me, it was it wasn't like learning a new language. It wasn't trying out different foods. Going different places. That wasn't the biggest difficulty for me. The biggest difficulty for me as an immigrant was understanding and accepting that no matter where I go or what I do, I can't limit myself just because other people try to. That's I think that's the biggest thing, because I think about it like I'm trying my best to go to school, and it's hard to pay for it because I don't qualify for financial aid and stuff, right? Or let's say I want to visit some family in Mexico. If I leave the country, it's gonna be a hassle coming back, and just understanding that you got to work your way around things. You got to figure it out. You gotta you really get tested as a human being, And I think that's the most difficult thing that I face.
Mm-hmm. And Kristen, what's yours?
I think the biggest difficulty I have is trying to figure out how are you gonna be able to go through the next day. Trying to find out, I gotta work, I gotta go to school, I gotta worry about paying my tuition, especially when you're not getting any financial aid, and it's just coming straight out of pocket. And basically having to worry, if I'm driving without a license, I gotta worry about myself. Hopefully I won't get pulled over, hopefully nothing wrong happen. And it's like sometimes you gotta expect the unexpected. I had one time when I got pulled over, I felt like my world just collapsed. I felt that, no license and no insurance, it was difficult because I felt like, you know what, I'm gonna be deported. Besides getting a ticket, they're gonna go through they're not gonna find any records on it. You know what? That's my end of my career or my dreams of being here and trying to succeed. I thought all of that was gone. And when I think about that, I just gotta appreciate what I have every little moment and enjoy it, and not take everything for granted as much as other people do.
Wonderful. Okay, now you're both Christians. You're both named Christians, but you're also both Christian. So my question is, how has faith in God affected this journey that you are on?
I think by having faith is believing in yourself that you can do things. There's a God out, and thinking, you know what, He's gonna help me through the day. He's gonna be there at my hardest time. Even as bad as my day will turn out, even if the worst was to come, I know that somehow, somewhere, I'm gonna get help, either by somebody else or by Him, by giving me a sign.
For me, faith has played a really big role in my journey as an immigrant, as being undocumented. It was kind of instilled in me since I was, young, since I was a little boy by my parents. Every time I went to school, they do like the sign of the cross, or at night before I went to sleep, it's almost like they were praying for me, and they were praying for me. Not only were they working hard for me, they were praying for me, and I growing up with that, knowing that you're loved and that there's something greater than you that's gonna be there for you. I think that's played a huge part in my life, because every time I feel like giving up, every time I feel like quitting, I know that I'm not just quitting I wouldn't just be giving up on myself. I wouldn't just be quitting for myself. I'd be giving up on my family, on my friends, on God, and that's something I just can't do. And so faith has played a huge role in me. I've been went to Catholic middle school, went to Catholic high school, and every day just getting that there's something greater than you, something that unites us all, whether you have papers or you don't. Just knowing that, and not just being able to see it, being able to hear it, like in everyday life, but also being able to feel that. That's how I realize there is a God, and He's with me through it all.
Wonderful. That's beautiful, your expressions of faith, my dear young men. We're coming to a close of our program now, but I have one more question to ask, okay? So, how has being undocumented, not illegal, how has being undocumented influenced your growth as a person? How would you answer that? Growth as a person, how has that influenced you?
To me, it has made a big impact on me. I have a different perspective on what I have right now and what I used to have. It makes me realize, don't ever take things for granted. Appreciate the little things that you have, because you're not always going to have them. And if family is there for you and showing love, they showing that they care. And by either having or not having papers, that's not gonna change my perspective on how I feel about things. And never forget where you come from, your roots. People tend to forget, and that's where they're being selfish. And to me, I just appreciate my friends, family, and people that have been there for me.
Wonderful. Christian?
The way being undocumented has impacted my life is it's like a hate and love relationship. I hate it, but I love it. I hate that I can't do this. I hate that I can't do that. That I'm limited by some things, but I also love that those same limitations are the ones that push me further than everybody else. You know, some people don't realize that, you know, they're blessed. They're lucky to have some things that people in my situation can't have at the moment. But if I could choose, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've never been a person to take the easy way out, and I'm not sure how much harder it can get than this. But I know that this is making me stronger. And being undocumented, really, you have to be fearless. You have to be unbreakable, because you don't know when something's gonna go wrong. You don't know when one of your family members is gonna get deported. You don't know when something's gonna happen to you, and you know you just gotta be ready. And you gotta be willing, and you gotta be strong, and you gotta have faith that no matter what, you're gonna make it through. And that's how it's impacted my life.
Wow, this has been just incredible. You young men, you have, I mean, your ideas and your passion and your convictions are something else for being so young as you are. I really admire you, and I appreciate your coming on this program and being able to express yourself for the rest of the world, I hope, to see and hear. And I really appreciate this. And my dear listeners, there's a saying, I think you've heard it before, on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. It was written by Emma Lazarus. I think 1863 was the year that it was written. And these are the words that are written underneath our own Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. And this is what we are about. Remember, I hope that you were influenced and felt this admiration as I did listening to these two young men. And so blessings on all of you, and thank you for listening. And remember, once you know the truth, you are responsible for it.